Good morning, Hickory Sunrise.
Good morning. Please join with me in a pledge of allegiance to our country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Richard, would you?
I will. Good morning, dear Heavenly Father. Thank you also for all the people here and all the things that we did this past week for the stand down and all the people that we helped. Thank you, dear Lord, for giving us the opportunity to do just that. Help us to continue to do our service of self to all those that need from going forward. Be with those that have taken their food, blessed it to their bodies. For in Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Good.
No, wait. Okay, go ahead with the guest.
Go ahead with the guest.
I didn't see Steiger hand the gavel back.
I know, right?
It's coming.
Okay. So this morning we are very fortunate to have our two young men that went to RYLA 3 weeks ago. And so Mackenzie Tonks, a sophomore at Hickory High, and Isaac Benitez, also a sophomore at Hickory High. And hiding in the corner is Karen Tonks, who is Mackenzie's mom.
Okay, because I was about
Glad to have you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was wondering why you didn't get to sit at the table.
Well, we tried to get her to come to the table, but you
He
know,
wants a quick getaway.
She's sneaking out.
Okay, it's one thing to go on vacation.
Yes.
But when you start sending back emails, the way if you sent the emails back with beer and this and that, you have some pastors and other people in this room having actually counseling.
Don't listen. Don't listen.
Children.
Yes, I understand.
I just thought you might want to remind yourself of that the next time you go on vacation.
I
It was
understand.
alcohol-free beer, okay? Understood what it was, alcohol-free.
Now, there is a point that one can't defend himself. And I would like to say a few words
For a
on
dollar.
my defense.
For a dollar, you
All
can
right,
choose that.
first of all, I did leave, I was in Prague and Vienna. In Prague, and you'll have to excuse me, in Prague, water, bottled water is more expensive than beer, okay? All right, and I thought, and per
So
capita.
you're being frugal.
Wait a minute, Wayne, stop right there.
Beer doesn't come out
Let's
of
let
the
them
faucet.
step outside. You
I think
don't want to
we're
step
okay.
outside for a few minutes.
Per capita,
Oh, my God.
the Czech Republic
Oh, God.
consumes more beer than any other country per capita, and Austria is second. And I thought it was nice to send a picture, listen, hold up. Send a picture of a beer stein, I sent it to Sergeant at Arms and to Richard. Okay, and that was a gesture from Prague because it's National Drink. Now, I get a response back. Richard, I think you're sending the wrong message about drinking to a Lutheran minister. I hope you feel better tomorrow after all those $2 drinks. I will have to remember this. Now, I responded, Richard, I thought all good Lutherans enjoy the beer in moderation. Look at Bob Steiger. He may not be a Lutheran, but he uses some, quote, moderation. At $2 a Czech beer stein, it's just a temptation that causes one to wander from the Lutheran path. Okay? Steiger, we need pictures. Maybe if you send pictures, we will exceed the fine money for a year. Okay? I said back, I responded back nicely, how would a Czech beer, would that help on the fines? Steiger, this fine will be addressed when you get home. Yes, the current Sergeant at Arms is in charge. Now, pressure is mounting, and we've elected to leave Prague. Okay, for Vienna, we will be traveling incognito due to the recent threats from here. I've told everyone my name was Bob Steiger. Okay. Richard, is it the truth? Well, you will have to check with Bob Steiger. I'm just trying to get out of Prague by using my good friend's name. I don't think his credit is not too strong here, so maybe I'll have to stay longer to pass the beer. Okay, arriving in Vienna, I thought this would be nice. In Vienna, I sent another picture of the beer. Greetings from Vienna, second country per capita beer. Okay, Richard reached out to the company, the beer stein company there, and he said, I put out an APB for the gentleman with the gray hair and looking for $2 fines. Okay, finally, I sent Richard a picture of a woolly mammoth, and this is where it really got sensitive. A woolly mammoth from the Natural Museum in Vienna.
And then when
I said, I think I have found Jake's relatives.
Oh, insulted the
Now,
dog.
this is where it's bad. Richard, I can't believe you would think Jake was that small. Okay? I think you have had too many $2 beers. Maybe AA is in order upon your return. All right, that's it.
I just want to,
Yes, sir.
just stop right there. Joe,
Yes,
you
sir.
want to tell him? Go ahead. He's been in counseling all week.
Yeah, as a United Methodist, I want to say that this has been just traumatic in my experience. And I want you to know that there's been a lot of cost in all this.
I probably should never have sent a picture.
Have we assessed how much? How much was the
I think it
fine?
was 5 or
Was it
15?
5? Yeah, but after him reviewing it and us reliving it, it should be 10.
Absolutely.
Because I had to go through.
And add 5 more because I had
Wayne.
the conversation in front of minors.
Well, Joe even got his head shorn in penance for this.
I did, and I had
All right.
Yes,
I mean, what is the point of you going over there if you don't, if it's not some kind of cultural interchange?
Yes.
And so I think that maybe we should have beer at meetings.
that would be.
All in favor?
That's a fine.
All right. That a motion or? Here is.
Oh, he's got his 5 out.
Here's a 5 and a 5. Okay.
Who gave the $5?
Is, do what?
Who
He's
gave
given
the
10.
$5?
I will find you in a minute.
He's paying the fine.
Who's giving the $5? Who's giving the $5?
Who's giving the
The
5?
club gave the fine.
Mine.
Okay, good, okay.
Good. All right. I've said enough. Thank you. Glad to be back.
Welcome home.
What did we learn today?
Don't go to Prague.
That Wayne wants to make Hickory Prague sister city.
And over there, if he's using Bob's name, it's Thousand Beer Bob.
That's right.
Anyway, welcome home, Wayne.
Thank you.
Let's have it.
I did not know that Prague, or was it
Check.
Czechoslovakia, is the beer capital per capita?
Yeah, Czech Republic, yes. In fact, it's 161 liters per person.
Wow.
For the whole
Wow.
country.
It just got that way when you got there.
Not nearly as high.
Our next Rotary road trip.
That's
Right, we have guests today, and we're certainly grateful to our member, Jenny, for going to the RYLA camp. I've never been, don't know much about it, and we're going to learn more about it and about the 2 young men who went. So, Dr. White, it's yours.
So I'm gonna let the gentleman talk about it. Yeah, it'll be fine. You saw what they talk about, right? So you're not anything you say will be
Don't
a
say that
plus.
about drinking beer. How old are you?
Not enough.
He's not old enough.
Not close.
We don't want to hear about that.
Yeah, right.
Maybe in Prague.
So we were at the YMCA in Black Mountain, and it's the lots of huge historically old, emphasis on old, buildings with historically old mattresses, right? Very old mattresses. And we went into the gym one night to have a program, and I'm not kidding, when we walked by, the foundation was like, there were things missing on the foundation of this gym, and I was like, oh, really? I don't know how that made code. But, so there's lots of huge buildings, and they have really cool activities for the kids to do, so I'm gonna let them talk about some of that. Mac was in a boot. He had messed up his ankle playing soccer. So he didn't get to do the ropes course, but he did everything else. So you guys want to arm wrestle for who talks first? I will. Well, actually, no, let Mac go because his mom, I want her to be able to hear him before she leaves.
Under the bus. Under the bus.
We'll let you sit down. You don't have to.
Okay.
But I like what you were thinking.
There's a lot of team bonding activities. So for you to think outside of the box, where you couldn't just do it on by yourself, and where you had to constantly ask other people what they thought, what would be a better
Technique.
Yeah, better technique to use, and there was a lot of, it was mostly outdoor, so you got to, as well as working with a team, you got to see your surroundings, and a lot of people, like, a lot of teenagers don't really go outside, so it forced kids to go outside and just not be stuck inside on their phones all day, and it definitely, like, got a lot of kids like me out of their comfort zone, just talking and interacting with people they don't know. So yeah, it was really good.
What was your favorite thing? Yeah, that's pretty
How
good.
much time have you allowed on your cell phone?
I mean, not really any at all.
Tell them, no cell phone, guys.
You weren't really on your phone at all.
He said eastbound 40 was the best thing.
So y'all went the whole time without a cell phone?
They had them,
Oh, wow.
but it was structured in such a manner that they really just didn't have time to be messing with them.
There you go.
Um,
It's great. You know, back in the day when he was born, they didn't have that phone.
Or me.
Didn't have phones.
Wow.
The coolest, so you got out of it what you put into it. And there were some kids that, if people were presenting, they would be on their phone. But these guys did not do that. Of course, I was sitting right beside them, and I think they were afraid to do that. But by and large, they were really, really busy. Almost, there's a fine line between too busy and not busy enough, and that's where trouble happens. And I think that we may have, like, gone over to they were too busy side. At least that was some of the feedback that I got from these guys.
Well, that's okay.
And well, and I shared that because they did, part of what you want them to be able to do is make those connections with other kids.
Absolutely.
And we really didn't give them a whole lot of time to do that. So there was actually a meeting Saturday where the RYLA mentors debriefed and kind of went through what was good, what was bad, what would we want to tweak. And that was one of my suggestions, would be give them a little bit more time to be able to interact face to face with each other. So if you could have changed any one thing, what would it have been?
Less walking.
Okay.
So it was hard on my boob.
Right. But he was a trooper. In fact, the first day, you walked everything before we realized that we needed to get you on the golf cart, right?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, but like you said, there's a lot more time to connect with people instead of always being busy.
Mhm. Okay, you're good.
Along the lines of what he said, there was a lot of team bonding activities, face-to-face interaction. You really had to be aware of other people's thoughts and feelings. You know, that's how a team works. And you just really had to step out of your comfort zone. And I think that's what really helped everybody that went. I think that was the whole purpose. But yeah, I think we all learned a lot from this camp. Thank you for sending this. But yeah, it was a great experience. I know it helped me for sure. Pretty sure it helped this guy too. but yeah, I think it was a really good experience. I think we want to go back next year too.
Are you guys by chance in an Interact Club in your high school?
No, but we talked about that too.
Hey, did you guys know each other before you went to camp?
We've known each other since first grade.
Oh, okay. Y'all been friends. Okay.
And they both play soccer. They were Southwest kids.
Yeah.
So I've known them since 4th grade.
I'll tell you something about Southwest School. You know how old Southwest School is?
He went there.
I was the first grade class to go to Southwest.
And it was only one classroom.
Right.
We parked the horses out front.
I think Denise Brown really did do that, didn't she?
What?
Denise Brown really did take her horse to school one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys know Miss Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah, she rode her horse to school one day, yeah.
In deference to the program, this is the first time we have run this RYLA, believe it or not. It's always been a week, and we had the biggest problem getting individuals. You know, I chaired RYLA for a while, and I'd get guys from Hickory's get set to go, and the football coach, no, he's not going to miss a week's practice. And I lost my guys, you know. Gary and I talked about it at this conference and said if we could do it like Via de Cristo on a 3.5-day weekend, we might make it work. And so the cramped schedule, the overload is a blessing because it's the first time we've ever compressed a week into 3 days. And so it's working, guys, and it's worth the time from what I'm hearing, and I'm glad of that.
Good.
And it was the first time at the Black Mountain site. So we've already, and I say we because now I'm hooked, we've already reserved a different building for next year because we had that building reserved to start with, but then the numbers weren't enough to justify it.
Yep.
We need at least 100 kids
Yep.
or people. But then we ended up with about 76 kids. And then I think 12 mentors. So then they had to farm the mentors out to these little cabins. Oh, sweet mother of God. I can deal with old. I don't deal with old and dirty. I can do old. I can't do dirty. They were kind of dirty. They were really dirty. But next year we'll be in the bigger building, and everybody will be in the same place, and it'll reduce some of that walking because we had to walk from there to everywhere, and it wasn't convenient. And we didn't have a big enough central space to have like meetings and so forth, so we were farming out to different spots to have our meetings.
Well, it wasn't supposed to be convenient.
Well, it wasn't convenient. Mission accomplished there.
Trivia question, did you guys get across the road to see the burned out building on the other side of the street from the camp? You were talking about the missing foundation. There's a burned out building. It's got a commemorative plaque like Miracle of Hickory does. The building's burned down. It was the guy who invented internal sprinklers to prevent buildings burning down.
Before or after he invented them?
After! After, believe it or not.
The inspiration.
They both talk.
You already talked? Where was I?
Mentally, I think
You were engrossed.
probably the thing that, from my perspective, the thing that I thought, and you guys can talk to this too, that was the most significant was Friday night. We had a walk of courage, and so they would run. So the first one was like, if you're a girl, stand up and come to the front. So all the girls went to the front, and they asked what
they never want to hear again.
that's the one that came to my mind first. That was the second question. They asked, what do you want other people to know about you and your circumstance? And then what would you want to never hear again? And then how can we help how can we fix this, help fix this? And so the girls were saying things like, we're individuals, we don't like being clumped together, and, getting the label of all girls and then fill in whatever blank. We're not all prissy, blah, blah, blah. And so things that they didn't ever want to hear again were, girls can't do this, girls can't do that. If you're dressed cute, then that makes you a slut, that kind of stuff. And then talked about how people could help fix those perceptions. So then the girls sat down and the boys went up. They called boys next. And then it was interesting, and I don't know if you guys caught this, but what the girls said about what they didn't like and what they didn't want to hear again were the same things the boys said. We don't want to be put in those boxes, and we're not all this way, and da-da-da-da. So then it started to drill down a little bit, and it was, if you or somebody has ever had an addiction problem, go to the front. If you or somebody that has ever been incarcerated, go to the front. If you or somebody is LGBT, go to the front. And so it was interesting to see kids that were willing, or if you or somebody has ever been in a divorce type situation, or had somebody that has died from a disease, Alzheimer's, cancers, whatever. So it was interesting to see how many kids fit in those categories. And then the last one was if you or somebody has ever contemplated suicide.
Ooh.
Way too many kids went to the front, and I promise you, there were still kids sitting there that didn't have the courage to go up front that had thought about it. But it probably cleared out 2/3 of the room that actually went up front. And that was the last one. But then we talked those same 3 questions were perpetuated through all of the topics. But I thought that was really cool, and then we followed that. Bill Biddle talked to me on Saturday morning, and he was kind of telling me just his story. And I said, Bill, you need to tell this to the kids. Because the thing that I said Friday night after they finished was, I think a lot of times people have the perception that if you're successful and you're a leader, you have led a charmed life. That you have not had things that you've had to overcome, because obviously you're successful and you're a leader. And so Bill's story was terrible. I mean, he should never have become a successful person based on the things he had to overcome. So he ended up Sunday morning telling his story to the kids. And I thought, for me, I thought that was really powerful, so that the kids could see, here is somebody that came from an abusive home, that graduated 207 in his class, but 208 to 225 were all tied for last. So, and when he went to, after he finished in the service, when he went to apply for college, they said, no thank you, you can't go to college, you have nothing for a GPA. But then as an aside, the guy said, oh, well, you can go to community college, you have to take everybody. So then he went to community college, and he got his GPA up. So then he ends up going to a four-year school, gets 2 degrees, German and psychology or health sciences, something health. But then ends up becoming a very successful business person selling copiers. And got a master's degree in business. So here's somebody that, and then has created the whole wheelchair thing for Rotary, and has given back and given back. Dealt with a divorce, dealt with his own substance abuse issues, but overcame all of those things and was able to be successful. And now part of what he does is tries to give back to society. And I thought, what a powerful message for kids to be able to hear. Because if you're sitting in your space and in your circumstances, a lot of kids think, I'm just stuck here, I can't, I'll never make it, I'll never be successful because 10 people told me I wouldn't. You know, but he was like, yeah, you can.
One of the things, Jenny, that we're terrible about is telling our story. You know, like you said, when young people see you where you are, they think you just woke up one morning and you got there.
Right. And
until you tell them your story, they don't know any different.
Right.
Yeah.
And John Capps, he's a Rotarian from Morehead City, and he is like Mr. RYLA. He came up and did that back here. He came up and basically ran or helped Gary and them do the RYLA stuff, because this is his thing. And he told his story too about how being in Boys and Girls Club saved him from gangs and addiction as a kid. So they saw several people that have successful lives that did not start out with the silver spoon. It was more like a plastic broken fork, you know, from Wendy's. So I thought that was really, to me, that was the most powerful part of it as an outsider looking in.
That was probably the part that affected me the most, to walk parents, to see really eye-opening experience, because you never know what's going on in someone's life until you actually hear from them themselves.
What? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you go.
What was can you describe a day? Like what happened when you got up to when you went to bed?
Oh, and describe it. Oh, like a walkthrough of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, so let's see. So you're in bed. All right, you wake up, obviously.
Yeah, you're in bed.
Yeah.
Well,
be detailed.
well, there's usually 3 to 4 people in your room. There are a few. I think there's one person I knew only had one other roommate. But you have to wake up, know who's gonna go in what order, get ready. I went first. I take a while.
To use the shower and bathroom,
Yeah, and all that. And once you get ready, you go out into the Hilton Hall, the meeting room, the main room there, and we all walk down to the Blue Ridge Assembly YMCA and go down there and have breakfast. And once we go from there, and from breakfast, we had several activities throughout the days, but after breakfast you go to one of those, whatever activity you were doing, and we did that. And you just really, that took up most of your day right there, the activities. It wasn't bad, it was a good thing, but that's what took up a large chunk of your day. And then after that, we go to dinner. We do a roundup of what happened, a day summary, get your feelings out, your thoughts, what's on your mind, and then head back up. And from 9:30 or 9 to 11, you have your own personal time to do whatever, in your room, sleep on your phone, because, we didn't really have our phones, get caught up. And then lights off, and usually bedtime after that.
So, the activities that took up the whole day, you mentioned.
Tell them what you did.
Oh.
In 6 minutes.
In 6 minutes? All right, let's see.
No, in 6 minutes that you got all the way.
Oh, there was a thing we had called alpine climbing. It was kind of like a high ropes course, but not really.
It was a high ropes course.
Oh, yeah.
85-foot tall tower.
And you just had to really have confidence in yourself, I didn't really think I was going to get to the top. Someone was like, I'm going to get on because you're making me. but doesn't mean I'm going to try. Well, I ended up going to the top,
In 6 minutes.
But yeah, it was really fun. That was really fun. He didn't get to do it. I was unfortunate. So, but yeah, we did that, and then we had 2 guys that came in. I don't know where from. The disc golf.
Yeah, they were local. One was a Rotarian, and one was a disc golf kid, not much older than them, that has sponsors. I mean, he does his pro, semi-pro, whatever. But I mean, he's getting paid. That was my favorite thing. Was we learned how to play disc golf. That was fun.
Yeah, we did the disc golf. That was pretty fun. I actually enjoyed that quite a bit. And we did archery after that. We learned how to shoot a bow. That was really exciting too. Yeah, didn't go very well though. We did that, and I forget what else.
Had a dance.
Yeah, we had a dance, and he showed off his moves in his booth. That was pretty fun too. And we had a guest speaker that day too. I forgot what her name is, Meredith something.
Mm-hmm. We had 2 guest speakers. One talked about college, things that you might want to consider putting on your resume and things that you don't really need to keep doing. Where we tell them not to go out and do all this community service. She said, do something meaningful, but don't just go rack up community service for the sake of your resume.
And then another thing that really had a good impact on everybody, we had the seminars. Was it Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
On Saturday, we had these little 15 to 20-minute seminars about different topics. So the ones I chose, we had a doctor there, a sports medicine guy that was in the field for a bit, and that's what I want to go into, physical therapy, sports medicine. And so I attended his seminar, and then I attended her seminar about how to get your resume ready, interview tips, and
soft skills.
There we go. And the last one I went to was what to do when you get kicked out of the house. It had to do with buying a house, your credit scores and all that. So that was really useful. I learned a lot from that too.
So the mentors, we all chose a topic, and then that's what he's talking about. So each mentor picked an area of expertise from their wheelhouse, and we did 15-minute talks with those kids.
Any other questions for our young man?
Would you do it again?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Great job.
Can you take a picture for me too?
Helen, come on up and quick.
Walk this way. One of them can.
First of all, we have a little gift for each of you. What we have is a Hickory Sunrise Rotary Club coaster.
For their
For your
Cokes.
beer.
For their Cokes.
When you get older.
And these were handmade by our Sergeant at Arms, Wayne Honeycutt, right here. So if you look at the camera, please.
This is just, this
it's okay to put this on the website?
Yes.
Okay, let me, Jenny wants one too.
Alright.
I know, I'm thinking Joe down there.
I spent all my money on counseling. I need some nickels and dimes. Next week I'm bringing pennies.
That was counseling.
We're good?
Gentlemen, thank you. Thanks for going. Appreciate everything you guys have done. Thank you. Good luck in high school. Dr. White.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
If I ever get to high
We're
school.
going to interact while you're in high school.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Jenny.
Of
course. Yes.
All right, I've got a few things. Okay, Bob, you first.
He's on it again. Joe?
I'll tell you.
You will never recover.
Are you twitching yet?
All right, the few things I have are, first of all, a stand down recap from the Veterans Helping Veterans. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what you guys did last Friday. Tremendous effort. Fed over 400 people, right, Phil?
Yep.
And you guys ran out of hamburgers and almost ran out of hot dogs. So
Well, actually, I think there were 2 burger patties left in the pan right at the end, and we had to sacrifice ourselves and eat those.
well, thank you for your sacrifice.
And most of the hot dogs.
But when you talk about service above self, I know, Steve, you were at the opening ceremony, right? Anybody else at the opening ceremony? Michael? Okay, Kenny. Kenny's son was part of the opening ceremony. But the day before the stand down, I got a call from a friend of mine who lives in Winston, but he was a guest speaker at a military entrepreneurship meeting, conference, whatever, right close to the college, and he knew I was where I was, and he said, you need to meet this veteran, this disabled veteran. And those of you who saw who at the beginning saw and met Tim Payne. I met Tim that afternoon. He lives in Raleigh. He drove all the way home to Raleigh, got up 3 o'clock in the morning, drove all the way back to Hickory. He has no legs. They were blown off in Afghanistan. He jokes about it. He said half of them is still in Afghanistan. But a very inspirational man who has fought through lots of adversity. And you talk about service above self. You guys helping all the veterans there. Our own Jim was given an award of recognition because Jim was the very first chairperson of the stand down the first 2 years. And well-deserved recognition for Jim. And but again, thank you. It was a great. We had over 337 veterans registered. Over 200 went through the clothing giveaway, which is most we've ever had go through that. And over 100 veterans got some dental work done. And that's absolutely amazing. We got 100 folks and now we do this year round. We get folks to be seen by dentists year round. So I'm hoping, I'm praying that this club will keep this as an event, as a service above self project. And again, thank you, Michael.
No, I think we do. I was talking to Kenny, but I think we as a club should take it, the part that we do for feeding, we should take it and just take responsibility for everything, because we didn't have ice, we didn't have chips, and what else did we not have? But from now on, as a club, we should just do it.
Well, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
If the club would take the entire lunch thing as the project.
Did we provide the beverages too, or did somebody else?
Somebody gave us
Pepsi provided
Okay.
the beverages, and I had to make a second.
Okay.
Phil had to make a second run because we didn't get up the first time.
Yeah.
I called, talked to John Teeter, and he said he'd have some waiting for us. So and Phil was fantastic, running errands and things. Phil, thank you so much.
And kept running out of coffee.
Yeah, that'll be fixed next year.
About 2 that morning, I sat straight up in my bed. I said, hamburger, hot dog. And my wife said, what are you talking about?
Wait, you say we ran out of ice?
No, the ice situation was messed up. Somebody
put three big ice cream containers on top of the ice to keep,
Yeah,
try to keep
so it
it
messed
cold.
up.
And it melted and ran down into the ice.
So, but I'm just saying, it went good, but we just had to make little things that when we do it, you don't have to worry about outside.
Do it. I think that's a great idea.
We should just do it and then just go and sit down and do it.
That solves one issue for me. Thank you.
We should just have one person at the stand down, Rick, that's responsible for maybe the food and then coordinate with the club. Okay, we need this, we need this, we need this. We're getting this from Chick-fil-A, we're getting this from McDonald's.
Okay, great idea. Yeah. One of our stand down folks connecting with the club.
Yeah, one person from them.
It's the same concept,
Yes.
same thing,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And, because I'm gonna have a breakfast czar next year to make sure there's plenty of coffee for everybody. We ran out a bunch of times, and that'll change. But again,
On the subject of that, I sent an article to the newsletter on
Great.
participation in that, and I finally managed to get it to go through to Margaret's.
Thank you.
They're very good.
And the kind of pictures that you're taking here, you send those to the newsletter as well?
I haven't been because I've not been able, I had an email problem with Margaret, and I couldn't send stuff. Now you
can.
Yeah, every time we have something like this, let's get it in the newsletter. They print it, they do, they don't, that's where it goes. Polio project update very quickly. Some snags have been involved. The two things, the thing that interests us the most is the marker or monument at the site of the Miracle of Hickory Hospital. That's still going, still in the works. It should be the obelisk that is downtown, which in itself is a monument to the Miracle of Hickory. Most people don't know that. But they'll be moving that. The biggest controversy now is the mural that I showed you all the picture of the nurse holding the child. What we're told is that the city council doesn't want that particular thing on the wall of the wine shop. One of the people doesn't like the picture. The rest of the people like the picture. They don't want it there. They want it out at the site. There's a wall at the Armory, whatever the place is called. They could put something there. So that's the controversy right now. Don't know how it's going to flesh out. The committee is going to go before the city council eventually, hopefully soon. I'll give you an update when that is if you want to just attend a meeting, whatever.
Do I still write the grant?
Oh, yeah. You write the grant, because that most definitely. And the other grants are being asked, out of Arts
I haven't
Council
seen
and
any
stuff like
evidence
that.
yet. That's what's bothering me.
What?
The other clubs haven't put up anything.
Yeah, and I don't know if they will. But it's not just the Hickory clubs now. The other clubs in the county are being involved, because Newton Conover was represented the other day.
Well, I'll try to get us as lead club so that we can probe them.
Okay. Ron Leach is extremely busy with his new job, and he sent a message out for programs that in order for him to get the information in the program, he needs that information by the end of business on Friday. Let me offer a suggestion or ask somebody to be thinking about somebody taking on that responsibility instead of Ron. He's working all the time now, and it's a tough thing for him to add to it. And Kenny, your office does the printing, correct?
Yes, sir.
So we need information. So if anybody is willing to take that on, Ron doesn't want to give it up. This is just me talking. And he may, when he listens to this video, he say, no, I'm not going to give it up. And if that's the case, so be it. He can keep it. But if at all possible, be thinking about somebody who could be his assistant or second in charge who could get stuff.
But in that regard, and in deference to Gavin's experience with the email, there is a strong desire to see clubs put their weekly bulletins out electronically. So what we decide to do with the bulletin, whoever shoulders that, should probably also want to shoulder the electronic bulletin.
Okay.
Doing that would be no problem.
Yeah, can you have that anyway in a form that can be put up? Yeah.
That may be a way to go. Maybe a way to. All right. The budget please be thinking about the items that are highlighted in yellow on the budget. 4 of the items, and I'm going to talk about that very, very briefly. I need your thoughts. It doesn't be right this minute, but before we do have a finalized budget.
Why come we can't just finalize it? We've been looking at it and talking about it and thinking about it for the last.
Well, and we could, but what we haven't discussed are the items of the veteran stand down, ROTC at Hickory High, classroom connections and Hickory Soup Kitchen. Whether to give or how much to give. Here's my suggestion for 2 of those. The veteran stand down and the soup kitchen, I think my suggestion is we don't give a monetary thing to either one of those 2, because both of those organizations have big fundraising things. They raise money. We raise money for the stand down. And the other 2, Classroom Connections and Hickory High ROTC, don't have big fundraising opportunities, and they're scratching along. And the ROTC thing we do is we contribute toward their banquet.
So why don't we just do that and be done with it?
So you want a motion right now
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
One quick question, do we have RYLA on there? Is RYLA a line item now?
I thought it was.
It has been, then it hasn't been.
I do not see it here, but we can.
I would like to suggest we put at least a plan for 2 spaces every year.
And how much is that?
3,
$600.
well, 7.
3 a person.
7 if you count the mentor,
And we are counting the mentor.
please.
All right.
What is that, 900?
7.
You just don't.
Does anybody have any opposition to not funding the stand down and not funding the soup kitchen? Any opposition to that?
No.
All right.
I don't know if I could live with that, less than that $500 in the checking account there.
So
Kidding.
He has a checking account, so I mean, for this fiscal year, we're doing it.
Yeah,
This is for
right.
next fiscal year.
We're doing well of our other donations and
Yeah.
stuff and our fundraisers for the stand down. We really don't need that.
Right. So, and the service project, this one is giving to the stand down by working the stand down.
You're right. So I make a motion that we drop the 2 fundings that
Okay.
you said and adjust, because I think something's in there for RYLA too.
Yeah, but I want it
Specific.
documented budget-wise.
All right.
It will
So
be.
that's my
I'll make sure. And I'll send out a new thing. Do you want to keep the Classroom Connections and Hickory High at $500?
Let's just do these 2 first.
Okay, that's fine.
And that's the motion.
Oh, that's it, you got a motion.
Second.
Motion and second to drop the veteran stand down and Hickory Soup Kitchen from the budget. Any discussions?
Yeah, I do. So clearly, we're doing a great job of supporting the stand down with our efforts there. If we drop the money to the soup kitchen, what are we gonna do to support the soup kitchen?
We would
Fair question.
probably need to go back to volunteering,
That
because
would
we
be
dropped
my-
the
that would be my
volunteering.
suggestion.
We
Or
dropped the
can-
volunteering part a couple months ago.
Austin always said though that
I
they
said we
had
didn't need
almost
it.
too many volunteers.
Yeah, he said he had.
We could ask Austin how we can help.
Right, but he said he did.
And there are, he takes food donations, clothing donations, these little things of toiletries that you can get in hotel rooms and stuff. He'll take that for folks, but let's talk to Austin and see how we could help from a service project area, okay? Rather than just giving money.
Also, what they use a lot is the black, or the shopping bags from the grocery stores.
Okay.
Just a regular.
All right, but keep that, so we have passed the fact that we're not doing a stand down and the soup kitchen
Monetarily.
monetarily. And the Classroom Connections and ROTC, do I hear?
Raise the question.
Well, hang on,
You got it.
We
finish
didn't
the
vote
first.
yet?
We didn't vote for the first.
No,
Finish
that's
the
why I'm
first.
raising the question.
Thank you.
Take a vote.
All in favor of dropping the stand down and the soup kitchen from the budget?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that will carry. Then,
Now talk about Hickory High.
okay, Hickory High and Classroom Connections, we've been giving them $500.
So moved.
Do I hear a motion
Second.
to keep 500, is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
All right, it's
Status
been
quo.
moved in second to give $500 to 2 programs for next year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that takes care of that. That's part of it. We'll keep working on it because what we haven't done yet We have to add up all this expenses and then decide what the carryover figure is gonna be to make the budget fit, okay? Next week, we're meeting in Conover at Walk With Me Farm. I'll get that address out. A meeting at 7:15 in Conover at Walk With Me Farm. Breakfast casserole will be served at that time.
Question.
Next week?
How many have given their $150 for a wheelchair? And did you give it to Glenn or did you mail it?
Glenn.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 to Glenn.
Two more here.
Say again?
Got 1.5 here.
1.5 here.
Okay, and Rick and I have both mailed ours in already, so that's 2 there. Okay, so we're up over 6 chairs, good, okay.
Well, the things we think, say, and do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Amen.
Young men, what we were saying was the whole way.